Hi guys, my name is Seb Tudor, I'm the man on the Silver Mountain, and welcome back. Now, after yesterday's more daft video, today I want to talk about something that has annoyed me in various different ways for the longest of times, and that is when people kiss and tell, when people engage in their relationship, in their intimate moments, and then declare them to everybody else, or go into discussions about them, or any of that stuff, especially when the other person isn't there to defend themselves, isn't there to make their own comments on what is literally a two-person or possibly more interaction. You know, it's not reasonable, it's not fair, and it's not good. And that's why I want to jump into this, because one of the first things that I need to point out here, because I know that there will probably be a lot of people going, oh yeah, I know someone like that and they're like this. It's everybody. Like, there are lots of places that will say, oh no, men are the worst. And there are lots of places that will go, oh no, girls are the worst, because they just talk their asses off and gossip about it all the time. Everybody, all of you, men, women, unless you literally just don't do this, in which case, congratulations, well done. I completely approve of your conduct. However, everybody else, you suck. Every single one of you that does this. You know, it's not a male thing, it's not a female thing. There are lots of people that will make excuses for either. Oh, well, guys don't really talk so much about this kind of stuff because they have a lot of time just kind of grunting and being quiet at each other. Sure, maybe, but I'm pretty certain that they do get onto this. Oh, you've got your girls and they just all gossip around it, and you know, as a result they'll gossip about stuff, but you know, they don't always talk about you and guys and sex and things like that. Don't kind of overinflate your own ego. Yeah, but you've literally just suggested that they do gossip a lot. Yeah, and they are more verbal and they are more interactive and bond more so over this stuff than guys ever would. In which case, yeah, guess what? They do it too. No one is, unless you actively don't do it, unless you keep yourself in check. You've probably done this at least once. I can say before that when I was younger, yeah, I did, because I wasn't that particularly confident, and so me telegraphing it to the world was a way for me to feel better about myself. Nowadays, no, fucking no. If you have grown up beyond being a teen with self-esteem problems, you should not be doing this. In which case, let's jump into this a little bit more. So what am I actually talking about? Well, what I'm talking about is if you've had sex, if you've gone and engaged with another person intimately, and yet then you go and share that information and the minutiae of that information with other people. I know, like, there was a time when when I was younger, when I was literally in school still, and I had had my first few experiences, and because I was overweight, I was usually mocked and to a degree bullied. I had a lot of people throwing an awful lot of negativity at me, usually because of the way that I looked. Me advertising what I had just been through was a way of creating some extra distance for myself, boosting my own self-esteem, and possibly a way of changing the way that people looked at me. I don't know if that really worked or not, but that was just the set of behaviours. It was a response to a situation that I found stressful and negative. In which case, though, looking at it, should I have done it? Hell no. That was a moment in my personal life with another person. And it's called a personal life for a reason. You keep it to your bloody self. So, you know, it's not something that should be shared. The one situation where it could be shared would be if you and your partner, you and that person that engaged in that activity, were both there to provide commentary. Otherwise, no. Because you can say, oh, well, I'm now very happy with who I'm with and what we do and all that kind of thing. Fine, that's focusing all of it on you. You shouldn't be discussing specifics, especially not embarrassing specifics as well, I would point out. because a lot of the time this stuff comes down to negatives that get shared more so than anything else. I have had partners that I have been with where I end up meeting their friends for the first time and they apparently know everything about me, right down to things that I don't share with anyone else other than my partner, and yet then how am I supposed to defend myself if those things weren't necessarily accurate, if they weren't true, if they have been taken out of context as part of a joke about me behind my back? You know, that usually comes towards kind of, oh, well, there's a breach of trust here, and it's going to push towards the end of a relationship, because trust is important. And that's one of the reasons that I'm going to be talking about trust tomorrow and how to ensure that trust is maintained. And guess what? Right now, this thing that we're talking about here, kissing and telling, fucking and advertising, not something that builds trust. So if you're kind of tempted by spilling the beans on what you've just done, letting the others around you know about everything that's happened, then let me ask you a few questions. What's the point? Because for the most part, the point of telling those people would be to brag. Would be like me with my mindset. I was, yes, bragging, and it was when I was doing this as a kid. And the way that I was doing that was, yeah, part of a defense mechanism, part of a way to create myself some space, maybe change some minds. But for the most part, it was bragging. And it wasn't a good kind of bragging either. It was just me throwing it out there, potentially sharing far too much than I should have done anyway. And especially with younger generations now, younger people, some of you guys that watch this video or watch my channel, no doubt, considering the ages that you guys tend to fall into, there is an awful lot of oversharing and an awful lot of validation through things like social media. It's not positive. There needs to be a line drawn between what you show the world and what you keep to yourself. It's a difficult line to maybe find sometimes, but I've talked about bragging in other videos before and how sometimes there's a point to it. In this particular instance, though, there is nothing that this bragging would serve other than to erode trust in a relationship and potentially paint really strange pictures in the minds of your friends, some of which may just, they may just absolutely regret hearing them and ask you to pass the mind bleach. But otherwise, it's a case of you're painting first impressions in the minds of your friends about someone that you might care about before that person has even had a chance to interact with them. And that's just unreasonable. That's a breach of trust, and it definitely demonstrates that you don't care so much about your partner and their well-being, especially their well-being when interacting with your environment, your friends being part of your environment. The next thing is, a lot of people will brag this way to appear more confident, to appear like they know what they're doing more in regards to things like sex and relationships. And why would you need to? Why would you need to look for approval from people outside? Like, when I'm in some of the things that I'm talking about, I might give an example of something that I do with Hannah that embodies the point. Well, that's because I'm talking about something very specific. And I don't share anything specific otherwise. In all of this talk about sexuality, I made a couple of references to what I've had as experiences, some of the things that I've come across, but at no point am I going to share information about past relationships that I've had or about the relationship that I'm in at the moment, because it's just not fair. If I'm going to do that, I'm going to do that with Hannah sat next to me. There has to be a balance, and there has to be an even trust, and there has to be an agreement on what gets shared and what doesn't. And sometimes that goes out the window. Sometimes that annoys people an awful lot. It annoys me an awful lot when it goes out the window by a long stretch. One of the things one of the very few things that will actually make me angry, depending on how it happens. But then the last thing that stands out to me is, what gaps are you trying to cover up by bragging instead? If you're looking for that bragging, if you're looking to brag rather, if you're looking for that approval from others, therefore, even if you're trying to seem more confident, you're not actually confident. In which case, what are the holes? Where are those areas? What are you worried about people seeing that you're doing this? Why are you covering up those holes rather than doing something about them? You know, you're throwing a carpet over a hole in the ground rather than going and replacing floorboards or filling it in with concrete. You know, the next person that comes across it and actually, you know, sticks their foot in it is going to fall, hurt themselves, cause you problems, get you into more trouble. It doesn't help. You know, you're literally taking, by sharing this stuff, you're taking the intimacy that you share with someone who, in theory, would be special to you, and you're chalking it up to another notch on the bedpost, another story to tell, another triviality. And especially if you care about that person, or you're claiming to care about that person, you shouldn't be doing that at all. Like, by not sharing that information and keeping it between the two of you, you are actually you're showing that you treasure that intimacy. There's a difference between going, oh yeah, well, I'm now with this person and I'm the happiest I ever have been because of these reasons. And if you just listed, say, great sex as that one thing, then great. Fine, good for you. You're now having great sex. Fine. But that doesn't mean that you spell out all of the elements, all the minutiae around that person and the way they act, around how you act, how the two of you interact together, and all of that kind of thing. You can satisfy people's curiosity in the vaguest possible terms and be fine with it. And then if someone decides to probe and push and poke and prod to try and get you to share more, if you actually give in, then you obviously don't treasure that person that you were with as much as you maybe claim to. Maintain trust. I'm going to be doing a video about that tomorrow, so that you've got some tips to help with that. But otherwise, just would you like someone talking about you behind your back, sharing intimate things that you, the first time you had sex together, burst into tears afterwards, or that the first time you guys went and tried a new thing, something absolutely horrible happened, or that you're just smaller than average, or that you're bigger than average but in a not so great way, yeah, where it's too big, or where it's actually damaging, or where something else has gone wrong. You know, that so-and-so has, that the person that you with maybe has some issues that they have to work through, or some things that they have confided in you. Would you like that to be said to others, advertised to others about you by someone that you have trusted with it? Because if not, you shouldn't be doing it either. But anyway, this is something that over the last few videos we've been doing around insecurity and stuff like that, something stuck out to me when going through some of the research and some of the stuff that I was looking up for it. And it was, yeah, the one thing that really doesn't help is when you might be on your way to confidence, you might be on your way to a better, healthier relationship, and then it's undermined by someone just taking that relationship and making it far more public than it needs to be. And that's never fair. It's never reasonable. And even if you're one of these people that will go, oh, life's not fair, well, fine, yeah, okay, it's not, but the interaction that you're having with that other person was supposed to be built on honesty and sharing. And if you're not sharing equally, or if you're sharing way too much, then yeah, it's not fair, but it's also undermining everything that maybe you were working towards. So, you know, if you don't want to cause people insecurities, if you want to have the better sex and the better relationships that we've been talking about over the last few weeks, a relationship that will go through all of those 6 stages of intimacy and feel awesome in every single one, you know, you don't want to be doing this, because it's just not positive, like, at all, in any given circumstance. So stop it. I know I can see who you are, so you stop. Otherwise, if you avoid this, great, good for you. You're a healthy human being who knows how to use a bit of tact and how to limit your responses appropriately to whatever conversation you're having. Congratulations, you're a well-adjusted human being, at least in this one area, and you deserve a high five. Otherwise, stop. If you're one of these people that's not limiting yourself and who's literally just going, had sex, now need to tell the world, please stop. No, firstly, very few people actually care, and on top of that, you're only ever hurting yourself more than anyone else. Again, I'm asking you to save your energy and relax and not do these things. I'm asking you to not take actions that are literally going to sabotage you. But anyway, guys, thank you very much for watching. I hope this has maybe given you some food for thought. As said, I'll be back with a video on trust in relationships tomorrow that will hopefully solidify some more things that I've been talking about here and maybe expand on a few things as well. So thank you very much for watching, guys. And if you've got an experience where someone maybe shared too much, went behind your back, advertised all of your various details and experiences with that other person to the rest of the world, you know, I'm not asking you to share your details as well, but if you've had that experience, how did you deal with that experience? I'd be interested to read those experiences down in the comments. But otherwise, thank you very much for watching, guys, and I will see you in the video tomorrow. Video later. Take care. Thank you very much for watching, guys. If you enjoyed this video, found it interesting, then please drop us a like, share this video, and subscribe for more. And I'll see you in the video later. Take care.